believe we sat through 5,069 episodes of Scooby-Doo. What a treat.
The few black sheep of the Scooby-Doo franchise tend to be a departure from the traditional mystery format, but despite feeling like a modern take on that classic formula, 2015's Be Cool Scooby-Doo is often grouped with them. Why is that? Well, let's take a look at the first image released to promote it. Everyone I mentioned this series to calls it the Scooby-Doo that looks like Family Guy, which I think is wrong. I know what the title says. I know what the title said if I decided to change it, but no matter who it's made for, if your cartoon has thin line art, slightly unpleasant character designs, and seemingly simple animation, then it's going to get compared to Family Guy. Now, I won't deny the connection, especially when they got John Viner to guest star in episode 2. If you've seen anything Family Guy adjacent, you've heard his voice.
Fred, where is your respect for history?
I'm going to retread a point made to defend Slacker Cats, which has a similar legacy because of its art style from friend of the show, Terrific Tariq. That phrase is weird. He's not my friend, he's only my show's friend. Family Guy is a tribute to multi-camera sitcoms like All in the Family or Marvin Marvin. That's why the framing is typically pretty static, and they don't usually go for big cartoony poses because the focus is on the dialogue. Not only do the character designs not resemble the Seth MacFarlane style, especially in their proportions, besides maybe the lips on female characters, but it's shot like a single camera show, with terrifically detailed backgrounds, atmospheric lighting, and moments of wacky character movement. The CGI is a little hit or miss, like it looks better in brief background or vehicle shots, but the tech isn't used all that often. Early on, almost every episode had some impressive visual flair that helped the look grow on me, but I understand why it prevents many longtime fans from giving Be Cool a chance, because even I'm not the biggest fan of the character designs. I like how every member of Mystery Incorporated has a clear, pathetic silhouette. Scooby's big nose and droopy mouth is especially cute. He looks so silly when he's disguised, usually in drag.
I refuse to allow you to spend the entire trip back here. And I think you would agree that there's only one solution.
Indeed.
Besides some of the guys having big Quasimodo-sized chins, my main issue is how restrained the facial acting is. They don't go for big takes as much as I'd like them to. Most promotional art has the gang drawn with smaller, rounder eyes, with expressions coming from the eyebrows instead of the eyelids. And maybe it's just because they're closer to what I know Scooby-Doo is supposed to look like, but I wish the drawings got a little closer to these. On the upside, there's an incidental with my hair, and the characters do pull off a smug look perfectly. Sometimes too well, like with Scooby's talking canine rival.
So, Scoob, you understand if we come across anything suspicious, like, say, a trash monster, I'm in charge.
I think it's important to get the look of Be Cool Scooby-Doo out of the way before discussing it, because it's part of the reason why I never gave it a second thought after watching its first 5 episodes. This was actually one of the first cartoons I reviewed on this channel, so I thought it's about time to give it a second look, long after it's wrapped up a 52-episode run. Now I know that $2 bills can add up to $15, and my voice has finished going through puberty.
But as bad as it is, there are shows out there with worse animation.
Forget I said this, I have a legacy to protect. Special thanks to a podcast named Scooby-Doo for providing a wealth of insight into production by talking to writers, artists, directors, and composers involved with Be Cool. I listened to 8 hours of interviews in one day, and I regret absolutely nothing. I need to go to sleep. A bias I never mentioned 8 years ago was that Mr. Incorporated had only wrapped up 18 months before I covered the show. I did and still see it as the ultimate incarnation of Scooby-Doo, amping up the comedy, visuals, and darkness, with an overarching mystery to boot. Although it has everything you love and hate about early 2010s TV dramas.
Here I am again, the only one really working.
You always were the most determined of your little group.
Were you just waiting there?
Of course.
The motto behind Scooby-Doo Mr. Incorporated was food, fear, and flashlights. But an unfinished promotional piece reveals that Be Cool wanted to add another F, fun. Originally, this iteration was to be a 60s throwback about the gang on a road trip during their last summer break together before college. It was going to have a rubber hose look inspired by underground comics like the works of R. Crumb, developed by Season 1 art director Richard Lee. This is where the name Be Cool Scooby-Doo came from, and it was one of many elements that the project was stuck with when showrunner Zac Moncrief and head writer Jon Colton Berry were brought in. The former was a director on Family Guy and Brickleberry, so he naturally wanted to take things in a very different direction and give the designs more of a primetime feel. This caused friction with Lee, who at that point in pre-production couldn't be replaced, forcing Moncrief to compromise in order to get the visuals to a place that the art team was comfortable with, so the end result was a victim of circumstance. The creative team always knew that the broad range of comedy they wanted to reach wouldn't work as well with the classic, more realistic Hanna-Barbera designs. If you expect cutaways and pop culture references like your average adult cartoon, you aren't wrong. There are a few cutaways early on, and I was happy to see a blink and you'll miss it Austin Powers reference. But if the comedy reminded me of anything, it's Phineas and Ferb, and both of the main creatives were hired because of their work on that series. It's a natural fit. A song in each episode, lots of catchphrases, general expectations for what to expect from each story that you can play around with, and of course, bird violence. To look at all the unique characteristics that Be Cool brings to Scooby-Doo, let's look at Season 1, Episode 1, Mystery 101.
I get it!
Each episode begins with a cold open similar to the opening scene of a horror movie. In prior series, they focused on exposition, or building up the threat of the monster of the week. Be Cool usually does both, but turns the openers into comedic sketches interrupted by an attack, giving a solid first impression that still feels familiar. They take advantage of the fact that most of these scenes don't feature any important characters, so you get out there gags like dog trainers showing their pets how to clear a course at a dog show, or a nervous baseball pitcher.
Looking a bit nervous with rumors abound of a ghost haunting the team. Bad time for free poncho night.
I think those pointy white hoods should have gotten another design pass. In this very first scene, we begin with a father giving his son a tour of his alma mater.
That doesn't make sense. That's exactly what I said to my father. Wait, what? And I said that too, and he said exactly what I'm saying to you right now, word for word. How is that possible? That's what I said.
Roundabout who's on first type gags pop up a few times. There's a tendency to lean on drawn-out comedy or runners that are very hit or miss. However, this first joke is a strong introduction to the wordy, quick, and silly brand of humor in Be Cool that'll make or break your enjoyment if you can get over how it looks.
Leave my university!
Okay, that's me.
The ghost of Elias Kingston, featured in Mystery 101, is actually a returning villain from the Scooby-Doo Where Are You episode, What the Hex is Going On? Jon Colton Berry wanted the show to answer the question of what Scooby-Doo was like if it had been made by this team for the first time in the 2010s, leading a few episodes to reimagine classic villains. Space Kook is now a shape-shifting alien terrorizing a space station, and Captain Cutler became Fred's nemesis, with the uncanny ability to escape being captured because the cops left. There aren't really any references to the more modern parts of Scooby-Doo history, although locations like a Renaissance fair or premises like a monstrous mystery machine come to life retread concepts from Mystery Incorporated or What's New. The showrunners knew this, and they didn't care. This slightly annoyed me as a longtime fan, but I think every episode of Be Cool with some recycled element is still worth watching because of the unique personalities given to the gang. Each is showcased in the admittedly bland opening titles. The generic instrumental, another element the showrunners were stuck with, isn't memorable, and the visuals aren't too stylish, but it gets the job done. This didn't need to be one of the best theme songs ever. It's just a disappointing follow-up to some of the best theme songs ever. At least this is one of the few Scooby shows that doesn't peak at the intro. What are you gonna do about that, What's New fans?
We're coming after you.
Oh no.
Look! My puppet of me's puppet of me has a puppet of me, and so on.
By modern standards, this might be one of the most formulaic Scoobies, an intentional choice made to prevent the Monty Python-like absurdity from alienating longtime fans. New gimmicks were added, most notably the Daphne du jours. Daphne has been characterized as a clumsy damsel in distress, a girl boss, and Fred's love interest. Instead of being defined by female stereotypes, Be Cool Daphne is a foil to Fred.
He called us the M word.
The what word?
What innocent person even says meddling?
Oh. Be Cool Fred is this single-minded control freak driven by the thrill of solving a mystery. He's very competitive, very prideful, and very paranoid.
What are you hiding? In fact, aren't eyeglasses nothing but a prescription mask? Velma, Dinkley!
In Season 2, we learn that Fred's nature is the result of the mysteries he wasn't able to or struggled to solve, one of which was on Halloween.
Daphne, there's always a mystery, and you all know perfectly well you can't solve a mystery on Halloween. It's impossible. Everyone's wearing a mask.
Daphne is similarly a product of her wealthy family's uptight and comedically tragic upbringing.
I guess I'm not immune to the old Blake family tendency to, go completely mad with power while altering the very fabric of history from the shadows.
This is a sheltered girl who's seeing the world for the first time, at a pace of approximately once every mystery.
So it's skating today, Daphne?
That's how I roll.
What seems like an outlet for random humor always helps solve the mystery, or bring the gang back together in some form. And often, the du jours naturally fit the current setting. In any case, they're a distraction for Fred to overcome.
Excuse me while I put on my irony hat.
Not the irony hat.
Heightening the energy of Mr. Incorporated Fred and giving it to Daphne, but keeping Fred's passion, gives their dynamic such a breath of fresh air. The versatility of both characters makes it easy to buy their more dramatic moments, and it helps that the vocal direction might be at its very best. I've never heard Frank Welker deliver a Fred line like this.
I can't believe Shaggy and Scooby are really gone.
Well, it's not as if they were legally bound to solve mysteries with us.
No, they wouldn't sign the contract.
My main gripe with the voice acting is that they only hired 2 or 3 extra actors to play the suspects, so you'll hear the main cast doing tons of bit parts, or someone like Tom Kenny playing 3 characters in Mystery 101. I'm sure this was a budgetary restraint, it's just noticeable when you hear 3 to 5 new characters in every episode. Of course, Be Cool was the first Scooby-Doo project where Kate Micucci took over for retired Mindy Cohn as the voice of Velma, and she really came into her own over the course of 2 seasons, like in the episode where she runs for mayor.
So Velma, you don't have any regrets about giving up all that political power?
Nah, though I guess it would have been kind of fun to declare martial law.
Scooby-Doo. Wait, what?
Early on, I wasn't fond of Season 1's unsatisfying habit of having Velma face a challenge she couldn't overcome. Sure, this was occasionally funny, but I'm glad the series slowly but surely gave her some wins, sometimes by tapping into a great dynamic, pairing realist Velma with optimist Daphne.
Velma, I apologize for what I said about you not appreciating comedy. I see now, by totally disengaging from it on an emotional and visceral level, you understand what's funny on a level the rest of us aren't even capable of.
Is that a joke?
You tell me.
Velma's described by her friends as a tactless know-it-all, but it's how she copes with being antisocial and easily frustrated.
Velma, you okay?
Am I okay? Okay? I think the question is, are you okay?
I don't think she's okay.
This Mystery Incorporated is like some sort of machine that solves mysteries, and it won't work if you take one of the pieces out. But it's clear that Velma is carrying the team, sometimes literally. There's a running theme of Velma being offered to leave the gang for riches or higher education, like she's too gifted to use her talents for catching crooks in masks. The strangest, and my personal favorite episode, has Velma grapple with the possibility that solving mysteries is holding her back. It's a parody of A Christmas Carol, where Mystery Inc. tries to catch the ghost haunting Ebenezer Scrooge, and Velma has to face her past, present, and future. Not only is this a great execution of a bananas premise, but as someone who sometimes considers if making YouTube videos should still be a part of my incredibly busy life, the ending really speaks to me.
There's no reason I can't be me and part of the gang. I can have it all.
Me too. I can continue being greedy and nothing bad will happen. Hooray!
This one also hit me hard as a DuckTales reboot fan.
So maybe Scrooge isn't the nicest, sanest person in the world, but he's not doing anything illegal. These may be the strangest events in which I've ever willingly participated.
So, Scoob, do you think these are the strangest events Velma's ever willingly participated in?
The day is young.
Unlike a surprising majority of the TV shows, Fred, Daphne, and Velma hold more importance than Shaggy and Scooby, who are introduced wearing fish and mariachi costumes. Seems kind of out of left field, but it's foreshadowing an expanded recurring element: haircut scenes. Moments where the cowards go on the offensive and put on disguises to confuse and distract a monster. These have been around since Where Are You, but now they're much more frequent and much more bizarre. They don't always hit, but like Fred's toyetic transforming mystery machine, they fit the surreal sensibility of the series pretty well.
Tin Man, there he is! Like, where have you been, Scarecrow?
Hello, Yellow Road, follow?
Shag and Scoob are probably the most familiar in how they're portrayed, although they're very transparent about not wanting to be here.
Can you believe that we're actually here? No, let's go.
There's a natural camaraderie between these two, thanks in part to Fred's obsession with splitting up.
Hey, splitting up is essential when being chased by a monster. That way, if one group doesn't make it, the other still has a chance to solve the mystery.
Logical, yet sociopathic.
When writing dialogue for Scooby-Doo, Jon Colton Berry decided that he should speak no more than 4 or 5 words at a time.
I'm uncomfortable.
This resulted in the Great Dane becoming a vehicle for delivering blunt catchphrases, teetering on the edge of the fourth wall. He would unironically say, "Check please," but also enter your home and insult your livelihood. I love this dog.
So, I didn't know you were an all-seeing precognitive portal of wisdom and future divination.
Just my day job.
With all the care and attention put into characterizing Mystery Incorporated, Be Cool becomes the rare Scooby-Doo product where the gang is more engaging than the monsters. I kept watching because of the character-centric B-plots, where there's personal stakes behind each mystery. We even see the gang figure everything out before the big reveal, giving careful viewers a chance to guess who done it prior to the unmasking. The writers weren't afraid to have culprits secretly work together, or be someone who never physically appeared before the reveal, which I'm always easily impressed by.
Some random guy?
Each villain usually has a thematically fitting backstory and a shockingly complex explanation that are explained through stylish exposition dumps. The one that looks like the Cowboy Bebop intro is my personal favorite, although I think the costume designs are somewhat dull, and the heavily formulaic nature of episodes means that the monsters have few moments to leave a unique impression. Fortunately, this also improved in Season 2.
Hanover, the rat snake demon from Belgium, Sitzimtol, the South American demon monster, Hemogoblin, I think he's from Idaho.
The centerpiece to Mystery 101 is this super elaborate library musical chase sequence, known internally as a romp. These allow for some creative staging or exciting action. However, the songs behind them are a mixed bag.
Illegally chopping down a tree, illegally riding down the river, and illegally crashing. Even worse, I didn't personally care for the music playing while it happened.
Unlike the charmingly dated licensed tracks of What's New, Be Cool initially had Jon Colton Berry work with composer Zac Moncrief to write a new vocal track for every chase. When that proved to be too much work to fit into the tight production schedule, Monaco was forced to use a mix of instrumentals and compositions from Warner's stable of composers. Ew. 5 of the best were written by Andy Sturmer, a legendary composer and songwriter for animation, but he's best known as the lead singer for the short-lived 60s-inspired power pop band Jellyfish. So he was a perfect fit. Still, we're left with a lot of generic pop punk or 60s throwbacks that strike me as being slightly out of place, which is too bad because I like the few original songs, like the gorgeously animated Fred and Ginger style dance number during the dog show episode in Season 2.
When we're dancing toe to toe.
Or when Velma sung the wrap-up in a painfully 2010s episode.
His name is Kyle!
The background music is solid too, giving a slightly more modern and jazzy feel to the classic Scooby sound, especially since the sound effects are more grounded.
The only inheritance you deserve is pillow, inherent pillow, and more pillow.
New instruments or styles are adopted depending on the setting, going all the way to add those touches to the end credits theme. You wouldn't see the full credits unless you were watching the show on demand or on streaming, so I really appreciate how Monaco went the extra mile here.
Scoob, are you about to go off?
Now that we've kind of gone through Mystery 101 from start to finish, give or take a few tangents, Velma losing her glasses, Shaggy and Scooby eating tons of food, or the pair getting bribed with food were downplayed, as the writers didn't think some of these gags had much comedic potential that could be iterated on. That could be grammatically incorrect, I don't really care, it's 11:15 when I'm recording this. As I've illustrated, the show has less repetitive ways of challenging the characters, or depicting how silly or cowardly they are, but these staples are still accounted for.
Remember the 3 F's. We do fear and food.
They do flashlights.
While these episodes are not intended to be binged, trust me, watching them out of order means you'll be missing out on some fun callbacks to the Daphne Do Drawers, Monsters of the Week, and even background details.
Puppets!
No.
The episodes I recommend the most feel like stories only Be Cool could have done. Plus, they never ever broke from the format, so the mystery quality is pretty consistent. Gremlin on a Plane has an expansive setting and unique Fred and Daphne conflict. Some Fred time has him at his most manic and disturbing. Mystery on the Disorient Express is exciting and joyfully confusing. In Space and Do Not Disturb are silly but atmospheric takes on their respective genres.
There's a very good reason why we're hurtling through the dangerous vacuum of space, right?
Fred parked on a shuttle.
The People vs. Fred Jones is basically their take on the Seinfeld finale.
What are the odds that literally everywhere he goes, someone wearing a mask is committing an overly elaborate crime which Fred Jones just happens to foil? Any impartial jury should find this extremely suspicious by itself.
But in that video you made 6 years ago, I thought you said you didn't like the Seinfeld finale.
Hey, I didn't say you could be in this video, Billiam from the YouTube channel Billiam. Get lost!
Get lost?
When you get to the end of Season 2, finish it off with the more action-oriented and serialized Omelets Are Forever, Ghost in the Mystery Machine, Professor Hobb Part 1, and Professor Hobb Part 6.5, in that order. Those feel like a solid transition between traditional mysteries and Mystery Incorporated. I would only skip Be Quiet, Scooby-Doo, which doesn't commit to its premise of being a mostly silent episode by constantly showing the gang's inner thoughts. The relationships haven't quite been figured out yet, and the ending gag has the characters cycle between two poses for 30 whole seconds. If you wanted to give Be Cool Scooby-Doo a chance, its rollout made the series hard to keep up with. Cartoon Network aired the first 20 episodes, switching between weekday and weekly releases that burned through episodes fast. There was a 15-month hiatus before it was permanently moved to their sister channel Boomerang, and its separate paid subscription service, all while Season 2 premiered early overseas and didn't receive a DVD release. Marketing materials even misrepresented the show by pushing Shaggy and Scooby on key art instead of featuring the entire gang. A Season 3 was considered, possibly with a slightly rushed 11-minute format, which I'm surprised it never had in the first place, considering where and when it was coming out. But Warner Brothers quickly put a new incarnation into production. Now the show's legacy is Velma's voice, or it takes on characters like Daphne being adapted to other projects like Happy Halloween Scooby-Doo. I'm keeping that burp. I hope that more fans can come around on Be Cool Scooby-Doo like I did. For me personally, it's still a 7 out of 10 for being faithfully repetitive. But now that I know the time restraints and development choices that were holding it back, I can now respect all the lovingly crafted visuals, as well as the intricate and self-aware comedic character writing that make this one of the best Scoobies ever. Will I change my tune on other cartoons from some of the same creative team, like The Adventures of Kid Danger?
I could be wrong, it could be right. Nothing is simple, nothing's black and white. It used to be fun, but now there's none. It used to be easier to take, but now I'm done. Wasting life away, yes I'm done. There's too high a price to pay, yeah I'm done. Now there's nothing left to say, but I'm done.
Get lost.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not an actor.